Hey people, what's going on? It's been a while. I missed you guys. And I'm happy to finally be back. I finally have time to play the game. And we're back in the game. I finally finished my build. Death Oath ended up being probably the best build I've ever played in my life. To be honest, this has been a blast. I know Poison Cock has been pretty fun as well, but nothing really compares to having zero buttons on a build and just dashing around in a humps and delirium, having almost no investment at all. I have been playing this build for about 2, 3 leagues, or maybe even 4 leagues at this point, and I have been trying different variations of the build, making it better, adjusting some things, and seeing what I can really make better. And I feel like today it's probably gonna be it. I have officially tried every single idea for this build. I have officially tried everything I can possibly do, and the build ended up being amazing. This is absolutely my baby, the best build I've done in a long ass time, and I want to show it to you guys. I want to show you guys how it works. I want to explain to you what to expect, and I want to show you that you can play non-meta builds and still have a lot of fun. Even though this build is not meta, it doesn't mean it's not good. It's not good. What it means is that no one else is smart enough to find out how officially insane this build is. I have been farming this build on a Humps and Delirium. I have been playing this build since day 2 of last league. On a 5 exotic investment, I was farming Delirium Mirror, and I actually have been leveling. This current build is level 98 and a half while farming 100% Delirium. I farmed about 3 Mage Bloods on this build in about a week. Um, it is very, very fun build. I had a lot of fun playing it, and it is very nice to see a build that doesn't die in Delirium, or doesn't die in general. As you can see, I'm not level 100 yet because I just didn't play the game. I had work and that I quit, and I just couldn't play the game. I couldn't commit, and it's kind of unfortunate. I was gonna level to level 100. It would take maybe a couple of weeks. I wasn't dying at all, but at level 99, late level 98, you don't really get that much XP. I was getting maybe 1.5% of level every Delirium map. And obviously, you can't do that many Delirium maps in a day. It just gets kind of tedious. But what I want to show you guys is how the build works, kind of explain some of the ideas behind the build, and just explain to you what you can expect if you're going to be playing this build, and what to look forward to, or what kind of upgrades you should be looking at. Now, let's move on to the POB, and I'll kind of show you guys what I have. I'll keep my POB as it is. I'm not going to change the items I'm currently using for the reason being that I want to show you guys what I currently have, and I want to explain kind of my ideas behind items, but not the items themselves. This build is a very free build. You can pretty much change and adjust whatever you want, and you want to what difference you want to make. If you want to have more damage, you can go for level ones. If you want to have more life, you can have some options for having more life. But I'll show you what I currently have for my current setup, and then you're free to make choices and decisions to make it better for your own playstyle. Now, because my build is very, very min-maxed towards what I want to do. I wanted to farm Delirium. I know most people don't like Delirium that much because it's a little bit tedious, it's a bit grindy. When I was farming Delirium, I couldn't even afford to die in Delirium because I was farming Divine Orbs and Scarabs. If you guys know how that works, is that every time you drop a Delirium Orb, or not Delirium, a Divine Orb, um, it wastes 8 slots or 6 slots in the inventory because of 6 link. And if you, in one lap, I was getting about 15 divines. So if I even died once, I would be missing out on a full inventory of loot, and I would be just losing money. So I couldn't even afford that. So I decided to make the build so durable it would just never die, and it never did. I believe in 2 weeks I was playing the game, I've died maybe 4 times in Humps and Delirium. And I was having Humps and Delirium for almost a week, I think. Maybe a week and a half, just because I didn't have that much time to play, but I was still trying to see what the build could do. Now, for this current build, I actually decided to go all in. I was throwing money at items just to see how the build would perform. But what I found is that um, having more investment in the build um, makes it a little bit more clean to play, but doesn't make it that much better because the baseline is just so good. What I'm talking about is that I was farming a Delirium Mirror on day 2 of the league in T16s at 5 exalt investment. Now, once I started getting more items, I was still doing the same content. And until I got a change and I started farming Humps and Delirium, which is still possible, by the way, if you don't need a change to farm Humps and Delirium on this build, but it just makes it a lot easier. But what I found is that um, you can invest more money into making the build more enjoyable to play, but it doesn't scale a whole lot. But it doesn't have to, because we have enough damage to where we can pretty much do all content in the game except for with the exception of bosses. Obviously, this is not a bosser, this is a mapper, and when it comes to maps, this build can do it all. I have even done Cortex, I have done other bosses, but obviously you want to be mapping this build. Humps and Delirium is very easy. I was actually one-shotting Colossus off screen because of HH stacks. I'm not sure how HH works right now, but for some reason, once you have enough stacks of HH, bosses will die before you can even see them. I don't really get how that works, but bosses will literally die before you can even see them. If you guys ever watched my stream, Twitch TV/personal by the way, you'll see that I was literally just having a good old time. I was reading chat, I wasn't paying attention to my map, and I was just running around in circles, killing monsters and not really paying any attention. The build is very easy and it's very chill to play, which is why I like this build so much. Obviously, I could play like something like Lightning Strike, or I don't even know, maybe Cock, Forbidden Rights, but those builds are not very fun. And when it comes to Lightning Strike, I actually personally hate Lightning Strike. I think it's one of the worst skills in the game because I hate the mechanic of having to stop and do damage. I think that's probably the dumbest thing you can do. What I mean is that when you play Lightning Strike, you have to literally stop and hit the boss in the face for 15 or 20 seconds, or hit the monster in the face, and hope to God that he doesn't turn around and swing you in the face and you get one shot. I think it's a bad mechanic. I don't like those kind of slum skills, so I want to play a build where I can run in circles and the boss will literally die by himself. What I actually did in this build is that I invested so much into AoE that my build was killing monsters off screen and the bosses would just be dying off screen, so I was really never in any kind of danger. If you guys ever played a bow build, for example, you probably know what I'm talking about, is that if you shoot far enough, it is probably going to be your defensive layer, the best defensive layer you can ask for. Killing monsters before they can even see you is the literal definition of Path of Exile. Monsters have to die before you see them, or they're probably gonna one-shot you, which is why I have so much AoE in my build. I one-shot monsters before they can see me, and also slow them and curse them and do so many things that they can't really even respond to me. That is how I enjoy my builds. That's how I like the game. I don't like having to play the defense arms race where I'm just constantly trying to invest into my build, making it more durable, just so I don't get one shot by a random white monster. It just doesn't feel good. I have tried doing that before on this build. This build had 90% max res. It had about 90,000 armor. It had 75% spell suppression and mage blood. So effectively had 99 resistance. And somehow, some fucking how, I was still getting hit for half of my HP by a single white monster. I don't know how. And that always have happened. I've played so many builds, so many durable builds, and they always somehow get hit for massive amounts of HP for no reason by a single white monster. So instead I decided to go kind of tanky. I'm wearing a shield, as you can see. I have plus 2 max res and plus 3 fire res. I'm wearing a shield just for the shield charge, not really for the defense of it. But if you guys feel like you need more damage, you can kind of go for double wands instead. I personally feel like double wands might be better than having a shield. Having plus 2 max res really doesn't feel that much different. Maybe sometimes it will save you a death, but if you play it right, if you're doing Humps and Delirium, you can just circumvent taking the damage by having more HH stacks, or if you want, you can also honestly you need more of mobility in your build and damage in your build where you don't have to face tank monsters and monsters die in a relatively fast pace. That is what you're looking for. When I was showing my preview of the build, I wasn't actually using Beyond on my map because Beyond is actually being removed in the next league, so it really wouldn't be fair for me to showcase a mechanic that was being removed next league. Now, next league we're going to be having Scourge instead of Beyond. Scourge has a lot of rare monsters just as well, so I think it'll be a good substitute for Beyond, and HH will be still as powerful. So for my wand, I decided to go all in. I bought a explosive wand, which was very cheap. I bought it for 2 exalts. I self-crafted the Chaos Damage Overtime Multiplier. I would say this was a bit of a disappointment. I didn't feel a difference between explosions. This current build has 6 different sources of explosions, which is really good. That is kind of how the build functions, is that if you have a pack of monsters and you can at least kill a white mob, that's all you really need. If you can kill at least white mob, you'll explode half the map and every mob will die. Obviously this build has enough damage to kill rare monsters and bosses the maps, but still, that is kind of what makes us very fast and makes us very clearly good, is that the explosions from killing mobs is what carries our clear. But the damage from DO is just enough for us to get by, in a way. Now, what you're looking for on your wands is Chaos Damage, Overtime Multiplier, Flat Chaos Damage, and Damage Overtime Multiplier. So you only need 3 mods on your wands, you don't need anything else. Your wands cannot roll life, so that is all you're looking for. 3 mods. Maybe if you want, you can get a resist. Those ones are not very rare. I was buying them for maybe 100 chaos on day 1. But again, it depends how many of us are playing, because I pretty much am the only person who plays DO. I don't know why, this is an amazing build, but it is a non-meta build. This is maybe one of the best reasons why it's so good, is because all the gear is so cheap, because people don't realize how powerful and how good this build is. It has so much potential and so much damage and so much survivability and speed that comparatively to other builds, they just cannot come even close. This build can play Magic Find, this build can play Humps and Delirium, can do all maps. It doesn't care about Reflect, it doesn't care about having less resistance. It just destroys mobs, it destroys maps, just feels really good, and has no buttons to press. You literally just run in circles. Monsters die as you walk by them, and you just got look, this is a looting simulator. It's a good time for you to have just looting experience where you don't care about anything going on. You're literally just walking around and collecting items. Just how I like it. I love this. I have had so much fun playing this build for a year, and now that when the build is finished, I know what I'm looking for. I know this is the build. I know this is what I want, and this is how I achieve the perfect variation of this build. Unless some of the new items are gonna be good, which I don't know if they would, because I haven't really had a chance to look at the new rare, unique items. But I think the build would stay in this place for quite a while. I'm thinking it's gonna nerf this build because it's pretty much under the radar of the meta slaves. Alright, so when it comes to my gear, I was using a shield. Again, if you want to have more damage on day 1 of the league, go for second wand. Second wand will do you really well. If you're using second wand, you should use Flame Dash or Normal Dash to get by, and you'll be more or less fine. If you don't like Dash, you can literally just use Withering Step as your movement ability and just run in circles. You have so much move speed that you will be fine not using any movement abilities. The only reason why I really use Shield Charge is because it scales off Headhunter, so your build becomes a lot faster, and you can literally skip through the entire map in less than 15 seconds. I was farming Tropical Island in 15 seconds per run because of how fast my build was, and it feels really good. It feels really good to play a build where you can literally go down the middle and monsters will die from both sides of off screen from you. So you don't have to trace back and forth killing those mobs if you have enough AoE, which I did. I had so much AoE that monsters would die throughout the entire map of Tropical Island because it's a very narrow map. So monsters were dying, and I didn't have to waste time seeking out individual mobs to finish off because they were just all dead. They were self-clearing because of the explosions. Now for my helmet. This is a shitty helmet, I'm not gonna lie, this is a very shitty helmet. This is a essence rolled helmet that I made myself. I have used Eker on the helmet to make it have mana reservation efficiency and Despair Curse effect. I did find the Despair Curse effect enchant in a Uber Lab, my first Uber Lab, so I was pretty happy. And I have strength on the helmet because you do need a bit of strength on the items to make it work. Because Death Oath by itself requires 180 strength, so you'll probably have to be able to manage your attributes a little bit if you want to be able to play the build. Obviously, our main item is Death Oath. This chest is what makes the build work. The way it works is that you have a aura of death surrounding you, which does damage to enemies, and once you kill an enemy, it does damage to you. Now, if you are taking too much damage in maps, most likely you don't have enough Chaos Res. What Chaos Res is for is that you reduce the damage taken by you from Death Oath. Effectively, you're kind of killing yourself when you kill monsters, but if you have Chaos Resistance, you'll be okay. All you have to do is maybe get 20% Chaos Res, maybe 40% Chaos Res from your Cluster Jewels, so you don't take as much damage from your own chest, and you'll be just fine in sustain. Now, I would say the second most important item of the build is Asenath. The way the build works is that you have 6 different sources of explosions. You have Herdavash, you have the Witch Explodey, you have Asenaths, you have Physical Explodey from your weapon, and you have your clusters, giving you additional explodies. Now, every time a monster explodes, what happens is physical part of the explosion gets converted into chaos damage. So all of your explodies become chaos, and the chaos is being scaled by your multipliers and by your additional chaos damage in your build. So effectively, if you have enough damage to kill a single white monster, the multipliers on the explosion will be so high that monsters around the white mobs, would take 5 to 10 times the life of that monster, and they themselves will explode, doing even more damage. So effectively, this build is made in a way where if you can kill at least a white mob, you'll pretty much clear the whole map. Now, we have more than a million DPS on the build. The reason why it's not really showing on POB is because POB doesn't really know how to calculate the damage properly. But we have enough damage to one-shot map bosses and have fun playing the game. You don't really need more DPS on the build. You'll be doing just fine T16s on the lowest investment possible. You don't even need to have a 6 link on your chest because you don't need any of your gems linked in your chest. So Death Oath becomes pretty much a free 6 link for no reason, no cost. You can buy the chest for like 1 chaos, and it'll be doing more damage than most T16 builds were. Lastly, before the nerfs of the Sentinel monsters and the Arch Nemesis monsters, I was doing T16s while people were doing T4s and struggling. The build is just that powerful. Now for my boots, again, I said I was wasting a whole bunch of build money on the build, and I kind of did and I kind of didn't. What I mean is that I have a lot of really good items like uh, +1 curse on my Asnads, but I also have really bad items like those boots and my wand that don't really have that much stuff because you don't really need it. You don't really need a lot of items on a build because the build is just so good that even on the lowest budget, your power will be pretty much the same as middle tier budget or even high budget because the damage doesn't really scale. What you're scaling is how durable you are and how efficient you are in mapping. This build scales from having more AoE and having more speed rather than just scaling damage. This is not a bossing build, this is a mapping build, so as long as we can kill a map boss, we don't need a lot more damage. Monsters will explode, all you have to do is become faster and have more AoE so you clear it better. Now, for my amulet, I have a special amulet. I actually yanked it for 10 exalts. This is in presence. In presence has +1 curse. What this does for me is that it makes it so I can apply additional curse. Currently, I have Temporal Chains and Despair, and having +1 curse, I decide to use Enfeeble. Now, what Enfeeble does, it reduces damage done by monsters by 35% and reduces their accuracy. This is a very big upgrade to your survivability, but obviously, if you can't find it, you probably won't be able to find it because it's really rare. You can just get this talent here, Whispers of Doom, and it does exactly the same thing. Again, you don't need Enfeeble. Enfeeble was nice to have when I was farming Delirium, but if you're just mapping, don't worry, you really don't need that many curses and that much gear. Now, one of the very cool mechanics of the build is that all of your curses have been applied on hit. Now, if you guys ever played a dot build, dots don't actually hit. Dots are not supposed to be able to hit because dots are dots. They just do damage for a time, they don't really hit any enemies. Now, the way this build goes around this mechanic is that whenever you explode a monster, Explodey itself applies as a hit. Now, what that means for us is that we have 6 different sources of explosions. We have physical explosion from Asenats, occultist explosion, we have cluster jewels, we have a wand, we have Herdavash. All of those things hit, so every time you kill a single white monster, it explodes and applies a bunch of curses to monsters around itself. What it means is that even if you're really far away from the monster that you're trying to kill, or monsters off screen, you would know that normally those monsters don't get cursed until you actually start attacking them. Now, if you have enough AoE, you'll actually apply curses to monsters before you can even see them two screens away, maybe sometimes even 3 screens away. On some maps, you can actually clear half the map by just walking into a pack of monsters, and they'll chain explode, and the chain explosion will be so powerful because of the curses that you won't have to worry about taking additional damage from those packs or even clearing those mobs. This build is literally a looting simulator plus because monsters will die as they can before they can even see you, and you don't really take damage from them because they die before you die. If monsters die before you can see them, they cannot kill you. If monsters cannot see you, they can't kill you. There you go. One of the very cool mechanics of this build is my Glorious Vanity. One of my perks in Glorious Vanity does is Ritual of Shadows. This is a main perk I'm looking for. You should also be looking for Master of Command on a Glorious Vanity to have at least some aura effect if you can. Oh, Commanding Presence. What this does, it gives you some aura effect, making you a bit sturdier and have a bit more damage. Our death aura scales from aura effect, so if you want, you can invest into this. But the main point of having Glorious Vanity is Ritual of Shadows. What Ritual of Shadows does, it applies Withering effect on hit. Now, we know that we have a lot of hits, because every monster that we kill has 6 hits, and monsters come in a pack of 20. So you have 120 hits. What this means is that every time you explode a pack of monsters, they apply um, full stacks of withering on everyone around themselves. And those monsters, when they explode, continue the chain of withering to all other monsters around themselves. What this ends up doing is that withering effect makes it so monsters take 35% more damage, not increased damage, more damage from all sources of chaos damage. Because we have fizz to chaos conversions, and because we have so much chaos damage multiplier, we'll actually end up almost one-shotting pretty much any mob in a game by just having this withering effect. This increases almost doubles the damage whenever we farm maps. Obviously, it doesn't work as well at the bosses, but if a boss spawns in a pack of monsters, the boss will easily get one shot. Now, I was mostly taking maybe 5 to 6 seconds per boss when I was mapping, but if you have a wand, you can literally one-shot bosses as well. The build is very, very powerful. It has very low investment and it has a lot of damage. Now, for my build, I was using Headhunter because of Slimy Delirium. Personally, I feel like Headhunter is not good for anything except for Delirium. In Delirium, Headhunter was goddamn amazing. I was having so much fun. For some reason, whenever we have so many stacks of Headhunter, it actually ends up one-shotting Colossus. Colossus has more HP in Hamster Delirium than 5 Cyruses. You're literally one-shotting 5 Cyruses in a single hit. That is how powerful it gets. I was having so much fun, but if you're doing normal maps, don't go for Headhunter. Get a Siege Analyze, it gives you life and resistances and strength if possible. Get a Mage Blood if you're rich. I tried Mage Blood, it was really good for mapping, not so good for Delirium, but in mapping I would say it's pretty good. And definitely gives us a lot of speed and makes the build a lot more fun. Now, as it comes for the rest of my build, I have my rings. Most of those rings just give strength and life. What is worth showing is that I have Curse of Despair and Hit. Again, what this does is whenever a monster is being hit away from your AoE, like if you try to kill monsters off screen, having Despair and Hit would actually make it so you have a lot more damage for clearing monsters that you can't even see. Like killing monsters that are 2 screens away, or killing monsters that can literally be a mile away from you. Being able to apply Despair to those monsters will make it so you have potential to kill them very, very, very far away from yourself. Killing monsters before they can see you is the way to stay alive. Now, for my auras, I have a pretty niche choice of auras that I've been trying to do. I've been using Vitality, which at maximum potency was healing me for 1,000 life a second. 1,000 life a second on this build is goddamn amazing. It has so much armor, it has so much resistance that having a little bit more regen feels really, really good. Now, if you don't have enough mana for it, don't worry. Vitality is not a must-have. Drop it. It's fine. Herald of Ash increases our clear. It is a very good choice because it gives us a little bit more hits and gives us a little bit more AoE. But again, this is a more of a min-maxed version. If you're struggling mana, I would say drop Herald of Ash. Now when Determination is being nerfed and Defiance Banner is being nerfed, I would say drop Defiance Banner as well. I would say Defiance Banner is probably going to be the least of your worries. I would drop Defiance Banner and then Vitality. But one aura that I found to be pretty much amazing for the build is Purity of Elements. What this does, it makes it so you have immunity to all ailments, and people don't realize how insanely powerful that is. Being able to be immune to Ignite, immune to Shock, and being frozen makes it so you are pretty much impossible to stop impossible to gimp by like burning and being shot in the face. A lot of monsters have um, elemental conversion, which makes it so like their hits can ignite you, their hits can crit you and do more damage from ignite. All of those things are being removed, make you a lot more sturdier. I would highly suggest having Purity of Elements. It is absolutely insanely good. I would even drop Determination if I had to, just so I can have Purity of Elements. It is that good. Remember, Purity of Elements is a must, in my opinion. So for my auras and for my curses, I have Enfeeble, Temporal Chains, and Despair. Enfeeble reduces damage taken down by monsters, reduces their accuracy. Temporal Chains reduces their attack speed and action speed, and Despair increases my damage done. Now, I have two defensive auras, defensive curses, just because I like to be a little bit more on a sturdier side. I don't like dying at all. I was not dying. I was not dying when I was farming Delirium, and it actually made my life a lot more fun. I was genuinely having more fun playing the game when I cannot die than having more damage. Like, damage is nice, and this build has more than enough damage, so if you can make it, try to make yourself as tanky as possible. I had 4,000 HP, but nonetheless, I had 75,000 effective life pool. And well, actually, 161,000 effective life pool. 161,000 effective life pool is absolutely insane. To put in comparison, my Cock Ice Nova maybe had like 15,000 effective life pool. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have 161,000 life pool here. And this doesn't even include the fact that we're very fast. We never have to stop for any reason to fight a boss or a monster. We just run a straight line, we avoid projectiles, and we never get hit. And even if we do, we have so much life it doesn't even matter. I was farming Delirium, I was never dying, and I was having a beautiful time. So I'm gonna post the POB that I currently have. If you have any questions, feel free to come to my Twitch at twitch.tv personal Jesus, and I'll be happy to help you kind of make your build work or give you some ideas on how the build works. This build gives a lot of freedom for personal decisions and changing things the way you want to have. You can make the build faster, you can make the build stronger, you can make the build have more life, more damage. You can do all of those things, but it depends what you want to do. I wanted to make the build for Delirium. You can make adjustments to it and make it for beyond farming. If you want to farm normal maps, it is not a good bosser. I wouldn't suggest bossing in the build. This is a straight up mapper. It can one-shot bosses in maps, but I would not take it as Cyrus. And I would not be farming Uber Maven on the build. But nonetheless, it is an amazing build. I had so much fun playing it. I'll be playing it this league. I'll be playing it from day one. If you want to level as the build, make sure you don't transition to this build until level 80 at least. Level 80 is where I would say you have to be able to play the build. I would level as minions or maybe something like Acoustic Arrow, Essence Drain are all good choices. Maybe even Poison BV if you prefer. You can't obviously start playing the build as this build because you need Death Oath, and Death Oath has a pretty high strength requirement. So get level 80, the chest will probably cost maybe 5 chaos. It is a very cheap item. It's a free 6-link. You don't actually have to 6-link the chest. Just put on the gems and you're fine. The gems are going to be super cheap as well because it doesn't have any meta gems in it or meta items in the build. So you can. I was farming Delirium Mirror T16s on a 5 exalt budget. I was having a lot of fun. I had no damage concerns and it wasn't a big deal. So 5 exalt is all you need if you want to just transition from a existing build to this build, or if you just want to start playing as soon as possible, get level 80 and maybe like 15 chaos to buy cluster jewels or buy some chaos resist items, and you'll be just fine. This build is way stronger than most builds on low investments. I would say Like, this is probably the strongest build comparatively to any other build or the game. So yeah, if you don't transition, go ahead, as long as you know what you're doing. If you don't, come ask me on my Twitch. I'll be more than happy to help you. I'll be playing all day, every day, and we're gonna be having so much fun. Hopefully the league is gonna be good. I'm very hopeful. I'm very happy to play, and I'm very happy to have time to play. So I love you all, boys, and I'll see you soon. I hope to see you all soon. Have a good one. Bye.